everybody, this is Michelle. I was supposed to have finished this video maybe 9 or so months ago, but life happened, so I apologize for that. Anyway, I am going to show you on this journal that I started. If you remember, I made it out of a gift bag. And this is my cover. This would be the side of the bag. This was the front. And this is how it ended up. And what I'm going to do today is show you how I sew my signatures. So I do it a little differently than some people. So I'm actually going to take, let's see, this is what I've done so far. I guess I should start there. So I have gone ahead and put my signatures together, done some decorating, and I have sewn them onto a piece of bookboard or really thick cardboard that is just slightly smaller than the spine of my book. And I do that so that all of my ties where I've sewn in my books can be hidden. This will be a hidden spine journal. And then the middle, where typically you would have a tie, is actually just string with no tie at all. And that is how I prefer to do my signatures. So I'm going to scoot this over. And here is the last and fourth signature that I'm going to be sewing into my journal. And this would be the middle. And what I do is I take it like this, and I take my needle, which I don't have out, and I go ahead and I line my holes up with where I have put them on here. As I've pre-made holes, as you can see on here. And that is where I'm going to want my holes in the spine of my signature to line up. And I did that already, just for ease of video. So sometimes when I am doing these, I will prefer to take my really old tools that I have had for a really long time. I'm going to say I probably bought these back in the 90s, early 90s maybe. But I will take this and I will actually make my holes in the actual signature also. I did not do that here. I did just use the needle and poke the holes through so that I know that they line up well. So what I'm going to do is take some thread, and I use, I know everybody talks about waxed thread and stuff like that. I have an absolute ton of this embroidery thread that I keep in this bag, which is probably a terrible way to store it, but I have tons of it. And I have found that this works really well for sewing signatures and journals. I've never had a problem with them breaking or anything like that. And I've had some journals for several years that they seem to work really, really well. So I'm going to thread my needle. And then what I'm going to do, since these are all clipped together already, I'm just going to clip them to this particular little piece. And I guess maybe I should explain why this paper is on here too. Because in order to have the whole thing hidden, what I'm going to want to do, let me get these cover pages out of the way, and my phone out of the way, is this is going to sit here. And when it's all said and done, this is going to cover all of this here. This piece of paper is going to be glued down. This will be right where your book closes, like so. And that way I have this, and so when I glue in my cover page, like so, it will be very smooth looking and somewhat uniform. I hope y'all can see this. I am the world's worst at making videos, and I apologize. But that is how I sew in my signatures. But what I usually do is, I'm not going to attach this yet because I forgot. I sew my signatures in twice. as you can see right in the middle of this one. There is a purple. There is a purple and a green, where I actually will take the signature and sew it together first, which is what I'm going to quickly do right here. That way I know it's held together, it's strong and sturdy, and not going to come out of this journal. So I'm going to start in the middle on the back side of my signature. I know most people start on the inside, but that's where you will have your knot when you're finished. And because I want all that hidden, I am going to start from the outside in the middle. And I only do 3 holes instead of 5. Again, that's something I have found that's worked for me really well. I've been doing this the same way for several years. So I'm going to sew this in like so. And a lot of folks will take washi tape. Unfortunately, I don't have any right here near me, and I don't want to get up and get it. So we're just going to do this by hand like so. Then I'm going to go on the top, and I'm going to pull this all the way through, holding on to my tail where I'm going to eventually tie my knot. And once I get through the top, out through the back, I'm going to go back in through my middle hole. And at this angle, it's not easy to do. And I'm getting hung up on all kinds of stuff. And there it comes right through the middle. Sometimes takes a little effort to get that to pull all the way through. I'm going to pull it tight because at this point I don't need to hold on to my tail anymore. And then, well, maybe I do need to hold on to my tail. I just pulled it a little bit. That's enough. That's good. Then I'm going to go down through the bottom hole. And it's going to come out in the back. I'm going to pull that tight. I'm going to scoot this out of the way. Scoot the tail out of the way. And I'm going to go back in through this middle hole. Come out in the middle. And then I am really going to pull that kind of tight. Now, this is kind of the tricky part because I want to go back in this middle hole. And I don't want to go in on the same side that I started on, because then what will happen is this will just, the last little thing we did will come undone. So you kind of want to make sure it's separate so that you can pull real tight. And I just did exactly what I told you not to do. So, easy enough fix for that though. I am gonna have to start all over. Well, not all over, but I'm going to have to redo this bottom part. So we're going to go in again, come out, and you want to go in somewhere separate. So I'm actually going to try wow, I'm just making this hole 10 times bigger. All right. So I'm going to come through like that, and now I should be able to tighten it without a problem. And I have tons of extra string left, so I'm going to snip some of that off. And now I'm just going to tie a knot really tight. Okay, like so. And then I always take just a tiny dab of glue to put on my knot just to make sure. It's literally just a dot though, never more than just a little dot, because I don't want it coming seeping through the hole and into the signatures. And then I can cut this off, get rid of that. And now my signature is completely sewn together, and I can actually take the clips off. Wow. I'm not real sure what happened to this journal. It was sitting around for about 9 months, but I don't think it's going to be anything I can get rid of too easily. That paper is broken. Okay, but anyhow, it'll serve for what purposes we're doing today anyhow. Okay, so let's close this up. So now I am going to want to line these holes up in my journal with the holes on my spine. And again, this is probably not how everybody else does it, but this is what works really well for me. I'm going to use a second color of thread. And I'd like to be able to say I'm doing that for video purposes, but I actually just do that because I like tons of color. Tons of color and lots of flowers. That seems to be my thing. If I can get this threaded, which is not working out in my favor today. Alright, got it threaded. There we go. And so again, I'm going to want to come through the back, because that is where all my knots are, is on the back. And I'm going to come through that hole, and you'll see that I'm just going to come out right here. I probably should have left this clipped. A little disorganized today, y'all, and I apologize for that. It is just having a real rough time here lately. We're just going to clip the top, because I really don't need the whole thing to be clipped. I just need to be able to get to the middle quickly. So what I'm going to do is come through here, and I'm going to go again through that middle hole in the signature where the knot is. And this is another reason why we don't really want any glue from that string, why we were so careful just to glue the knot. Of course, I can't get through there. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to pull until I can get a little tail, which that should be more than enough. And then I'm going to pull this through, and we're going to do the same thing as I did when I was sewing through just the signature. Is I'm going to go through the top, and I'm going to come out down here. And I'm not tightening everything up just yet. I'm actually going to go through this hole first. And then I'm going to just grab my tail, and then I'm just going to pull everything really tight. Then I am going to go back through here and back through this middle of my spine. And just like that. Now, okay, now I have completely lost my tail. Not sure how that happened. Typically I don't have that problem. Alright, well I have completely screwed this up. What a great how-to video, right y'all? How to screw up the spine of your journal. Anyway, alright, well, we're doing it anyway. We're going to make it work. So I've got this back out. And I guess this is a lesson how everything is, doesn't have to be perfect, I suppose, right? It is a junk journal after all. There's a lot of latitude when you're making a junk journal. Where in the world is my hole? So, because this paper is ripped, I can't find my hole. Wow, you guys, this is a terrible how-to video. I am so sorry. Okay, finally got it through that hole. Gonna go through the hole on the spine. And we are gonna pull really, really, really tight now. Because before, where it was okay if this was a little bit separate, it's really not okay at this point. You want it to be really tight. That way you make sure that your signature is not going to come out or slip and slide around inside your book. And now I'm going back through the middle. If I can find it. Oh my goodness, now I dropped my needle because I mistakenly thought it would be a good idea to put lotion on my hands before I started, which was not a good idea at all. I'm a mess, y'all. I am so sorry. Anyhow, I'm going to pull this really, really tight through here. And then, just like with the signature, I am going to try to go in over the thread, come back out through the back, really, 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 really tight. Again, I cut off entirely too much string, but that's okay. It can be used for something else. It'd be perfect for a mini journal. And then I'm just going to tie off this super duper tight. Now, when you're making one of these spines for your journals, I guess you'll notice on here that I have a T and a B, which would stand for top and bottom on these. Because you're going to want to make sure that you sew your signatures in the correct way. There's nothing worse than getting a journal done and you start flipping through it only to realize that one of your signatures has been sewed in upside down. We've all done it. It's not that big of a deal. You can just cut your strings, take it back out, but it does save some time to do it like this the first time. So now what I would do is put away my little needles. Oh, and by the way, again, something else I've probably had for 25, almost 30 years now, when I first started scrapbooking, were these Making Memories paper needles. I don't even know if these are available anymore, but I have had these since the early 90s. I love them. Love them. But anyway, now what we're going to do is we're going to cover this with glue, except for the holes. You don't want to put glue right over the holes. And we're going to glue it down right here first. That is the first place we're going to glue this down at. I would typically use my glue gun, but again, giant lack of preparation on my part, in that I have, since the lockdown, become quite the scatterbrain for some reason. So I want to double check, make sure that's my cover, make sure this is up at the top. And then I am just going to set it in place. And press it down really, really good. I always take my glue and just kind of, if there's any seeping out the sides, just kind of smear that around. And of course I don't have anything to wipe my hands on. Wow, you guys. Good job today for me, right? And then, once I do that, I'm just going to put the glue on this page here. I'm not going to put any down towards the bottom. I'm just going to do my edge. And then the best way I have found to do this is just to close the book and press. Just like so, to get that to stick. And the reason I'm not going to glue, well, wow, you guys, I'm not having any luck today at all. This is not working for me. Okay. Okay, well, anyhow, I'm not worried about all this mess. I have a page I made specifically to go over all of this. This is another reason why I like using hot glue. It's instant. But anyway, once this is glued down, you will not be able to see any of the previous underside mess of all this glue, where it moved around and whatnot, like so. And it will also keep where this is bubbling up. It will not do that once this is in. This will look a little more polished and professional. Well, maybe not this one, because I did kind of screw up on it, but typically this would be much more professional looking. So actually, you know what, just for the sake of it, we're going to go ahead and glue this down and get the back done, because alright, so this is just a back pocket that I've made, and I want it to fit just like so. Now I'm going to set it like that so that hopefully all my glue will dry. Okay, had to do a little editing. I said some bad words because this wasn't working the way it usually works for me, because I usually don't use wet glue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand up my signatures like so, which I didn't even sew this one in right. Wow. Yeah, take advice from me, you guys. Anyway, I'm going to stand up my signatures like so. I'm just going to take this and put that there. And I'm just going to let them sit like that until the glue is dry. Another reason why I like the hot glue gun, it's much, much faster to get done than trying to do it with wet glue. I'm really not a huge fan of wet glue. Actually, I am a big liar. I'm going to go ahead and glue down this page too. So, I'm going to glue this page down also. Just like that. And then I'm going to stand it up so that I make sure I get my crease where it needs to be so that the book folds correctly. Doesn't have any bubbles or whatnot when I go to close it. And I'm going to go ahead and glue in my cover page. And I'm going to make sure my ribbon is out of the way. I'm just going to glue that right there. Then I'm going to stand the whole thing up. So that it can dry. So that is how I sew in my signatures. I really wanted to tell y'all how I make my covers because I think I do that a little differently also. I know when I first started doing this, I watched a lot of how-to videos, and I tried each and every single way that I learned from other folks first, and then I kind of adapted everything to where it works for me, which is, you know, not to say that the way I do it will work for you, but it could just help you, you know, realize how you want to put your journals together. Like my ties, I put them, as you can see, I glue them straight to the cover and then put all my cover pages on top of them so that there's no chance of this coming undone or coming out, and it will tie and keep the whole thing together. So that is how I sew in my signatures. I hope that is I hope that you get some use out of this. I know I made some mistakes. I tell y'all, I'm not with it. This coronavirus and being quarantined is not sitting well with me. I'm an out and about kind of person. But anyway, this is how I make my cover and sew in my signatures. So I hope this is helpful, and I would love to read some comments if you have any. And because this is not going to be my best work, I guess I'm going to have to figure out what to do with it. I do love it, but it's going to be a little sloppy. But anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate it.